Cardone here. Welcome to Power Players. Every week I bring you somebody that can add some strategies, some tips, and probably some things you can avoid doing to put you in power in your business, your career, and your finances. Today I have with me Trevor Crane. He's doing a show on Whatever It Takes Network called The Greatness Quest. What night's your show? What day's your show?
I was telling you, I don't know. It's going to be.
I'm going to let you know when the show is.
That's right.
It's coming, baby. It's going to be The Greatness Quest. He's author of Transform Your Business. He does business consulting. He works with small companies to add value. Great to have you here today, man. I know you're
nice to have. Nice to be here.
I know you're going to bring it, dude. This guy's got so much swag. Is
that it? Okay. I noticed that you focused on sometimes people are going to fail and you're going to share those stories. So I just can't wait for what you're going to ask.
So so why should you be here today talking to people? I mean, how can you help people? How do you help?
Well, I have had a lot of challenges in business. So I've made so many mistakes that I finally stumbled into how to do it right. And I started doing well in business in a few different industries, and then I had people ask me for help. And my greatest success came when I found mentors to help me. When I went to school, that wasn't it. I mean, I went to business school, and that was great to the degree that I had a lot of fun, and I got my degree, but they didn't teach me how to make money.
How old are you?
I'm 42. I'm good.
You've made a lot of money in 2 or 3 different businesses.
I have.
And you busted out once.
I have.
So he's made some major mistakes.
Yep. I can show you how to do that if you
You're
want
a
to talk
BK
about
guy.
that.
You're a BK guy.
I have done that. Yeah.
Does that bother you when I say that?
You know what? No, it used to.
You look like it bothers you a little bit.
Oh yeah,
a little bit.
No. I don't mind talking about it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. Well, I mean, when I was doing well in business,
yeah,
I just thought I was never going to fail. And then I had something come up where a business partner cheated me because he thought I cheated him.
Uh-huh.
We fought about it for 2 years. I lost everything.
Wow.
I lost, all my intimate relationships. The mother of my daughter left me. She said, "You have no more money. I don't like you anymore."
Uh-huh.
And so that sucked. And I can even feel it right now. I can feel myself like, "Oh, that sucks." But it gave me. Wow. I had to build all that back, and I had a realization of now, you know what happened?
What's it like for a woman not to love you? Not to love you because you lost your money.
Oh man,
I've never had that experience. So
no.
Even when I was broke, women wouldn't leave me. They just
that
to me.
That was. You know what? My net worth, my self-worth, and my net worth were so attached.
Yeah, got it.
That it was about it was a chance. I didn't go broke overnight. I had to ride that horse for a while.
Right.
And but what I learned about what I'm worth versus what the business was worth, and that I'm worth much more than
whatever the loss is, or even the gain.
Well, and you know what? And I think everything happens for a reason. So it was. I'm grateful for all those experiences. One of my clients that I got after I went through that bankruptcy was actually suicidal about some debt, and I didn't know this until we were 6 months into working with each other. And I was able to have a whole different perspective. I mean, I had a big bankruptcy. She was talking about a little bit of debt, but it gave me a way to really.
She wanted to jump.
She did. She was talking about it.
Dude, that's a chicken's way out.
I was, but
Did you fire her as a client?
No, I helped her.
Okay. All right. See, I'm so cold.
She transformed.
Man. I'm so bad.
She turned it around.
Okay. All right. So, who is Trevor Crane? Where'd you come from?
Well, you read Robert Kiyosaki has the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yeah, sure. Love that book.
So I think I could have a book of Poor Dad, Drunk Dad. So when I was growing up,
Poor Dad, Drunk Dad. What did Poor Dad teach you?
Poor Dad. Well, my one thing. Okay, so I grew up in Arizona, and one thing my parents did that was absolutely awesome is they said that they believed in me and my sisters. So when I grew up,
even the drunk dad said that, right?
Well, no, not the drunk dad. Not the drunk dad. No. But my real dad, yes. So it was a belief that you can do anything. Now, and I was just, naive enough to believe I could. So I went after a lot of things. And
other brothers and sisters?
2 sisters.
Yeah, they were told the same thing.
Told the same thing.
Did they end up being successful?
Yes, they are very successful.
Well, maybe that worked.
There you go.
Okay.
So my poor dad, drunk dad. My poor dad was a horseshoer, and still is a horseshoer actually. Mm-hmm. And so he taught me a whole bunch of amazing.
He puts shoes on horses.
And I can do that too, if you want.
What's that called? That's called farriers.
That's that farrier. Huh?
Okay, the farrier. Yeah.
So he grew. He said they definitely taught me that I could do anything I wanted to do. So I was fearless to go ahead and start things. I was a little kid. I wasn't
how
necessarily
old are you at this point?
Oh, my whole life. So I was a little, from 4 years old, 5 years old.
So when you're talking to me that you're 4, 5, 6 years old, you're in Arizona, putting shoes on horses, they're telling you could do anything.
Something like that.
When does the drunk dad show up?
Well, my parents got divorced about the time I was like 11 or 12.
So your mom left the poor dad just like that other woman left you.
Right.
When you were PK, right?
Not exactly.
Am I the first guy that ever put that together?
You're the first one that mentioned it, but I don't think that's exactly.
Then mom pulls in drunk dad.
Well, yeah. So
marries him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I grew up where we didn't have a lot of money. I guess you asked where I came from. So we were struggling constantly while we grew up. And I was...
You were poor? Like dirt poor?
Oh, no, not dirt poor, but I mean, we didn't have enough food sometimes. We had, the school...
What kind of poor do you call that then?
I don't know, man. It was, there were people worse off than us, I guess. But
everybody does that. Everybody does that. Yeah, but there's people worse off than us. Well, of course there is. There's somebody's skin and bones today. I mean, how does that, I think this is, and I was talking to your wife, this is a pattern, talking about patterns and stuff, how people start convincing themselves that their situation is not bad.
I was not convincing myself this situation wasn't bad. It was uncomfortable for my entire childhood. But what was great is that it gave a drive that I said, I'm going to get out of this.
When did that happen? When did you hey,
my whole,
get out of this?
I remember when I was maybe 10 years old, before my parents split up, my great grandfather died, and I found out for the first time that someone in our family lineage had money, and we had none. Wow. And I was like, I'm going to win back the family fortune. So I was maybe 10, 12 years old.
Dude, that's awesome. Everybody that sat there has told me some story early on before 15 years old that was that was that moment. So thank you for sharing that with us. You're watching Power Players. This cat's name is Trevor Crane. His show is Greatness Quest. We're going to come back and talk about what you're going to get from the Greatness Quest and why you should be on that freaking quest. So committed to your own greatness. Your book is Transform Your Business.
That's right.
We'll talk about where to get that from. Stay with me. I'm Grant Cardone. You're watching Power Players. Welcome back to Power Players. Grant Cardone here. I have with me Trevor Crane. His show, which is going to be dropped on Whatever It Takes Network, is called Greatness Quest, and I want you to check it out. I also want you to get his book, Transforming Your Business. Transforming Your Business. He's a business consultant. He adds value to small companies, startups, and even companies that are growing. He's gone through it all, dude. Bankruptcy, came from being poor, used to put shoes on horses. Have you ever done it with a sheep, man, just because you were out there hanging on that?
I've tried, but they're just they're hard to get a hold of, man.
I like that. It's the greatness quest. Sometimes you got to look in the wrong place to find the greatness, right?
Okay, so sheer down. No.
Yeah. So you start in business, your grandfather dies, and you find out, hey, there's somebody in our lineage, we weren't all poor.
They weren't all poor.
Somebody can make it, that somebody can squeeze through and get something.
Yep, so I thought it was school. So I thought that what I had to do was get smart. So I tried real hard in school, and I was not the smartest kid, but I wanted to excel. So I graduated from high school and I got a little what do they call it? Scholarship. Yeah, an academic scholarship.
Yeah.
And so then I finished.
They gave that to you because you were poor?
Well, they gave me that because I did well I ended up getting A's and B's when I was in high school, so they gave me a scholarship to college. And then I thought this was going to get me ready for business. I went and I studied marketing, I studied business, and I went out. And everybody knows when you get a college degree that they show you exactly what you got to do to run a successful business, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was not experiencing that and struggling and just completely confused.
Where'd you go to college?
Arizona State.
Would you go again?
I had a blast at college. So I was very young, and it was probably a good thing for me to go through. But I know my education since college has been so much more about what I needed in life. So I think it was a great growing up experience. It's like it was almost like being a teenager and just having some fun. But other than that,
you didn't borrow money to go to college?
I did from student loans and grants and stuff like that. So I had to go through to figure out how to get money because our parents didn't have any. So
and you get out of college. You got a what do you call it? Scholastic what?
Scholarship. It paid for my for my books.
So then you borrowed a little bit of money to get through.
And that sounds like I actually have a brain but I don't know what I do. See, I can't say a complete sentence.
Yeah. So you graduate from college with a marketing business degree.
In honors,
It says BS degree.
It does. It says BS. I've got a BS.
I'm like, that ought to indicate to you something.
Well,
I think college is, for 90% of the people that go to college, I think it's a complete waste. It's a scam. It's a freaking trap. It's just more of the same.
It's a repeat of high school for the first year or two. It's just like you're an adult would grow up. I mean, I don't know. That's how I saw it. And it was a great party. It was fun to party.
Yeah, that's what everybody tells me. Man, I partied. I had a great experience. Your wife told me, she's like, it was a great experience. I'm like, there's a lot of experiences you can have without going to college. I mean, I can get in a fight. That's an experience.
That's an experience. I don't know.
Right? So you get out of college, you can't get work? What's happening?
No, I started my own businesses. So one thing...
Straight out of college?
Pretty much. I mean, I had businesses my whole life. I was selling stuff when I was a little kid. When I was very young, my dad left town one time and he said, Trevor, you're the man of the house. I'm leaving town for a week or something.
Is this the drunk dad?
This was my real dad.
Okay. Poor dad. He's poor dad.
His poor dad. And God love him. He loved me. I mean, he gave me a million things. One of them was not how to be successful in business. And I had to get that after I finished school, after I failed. I finally found a mentor that I could go ahead and, instead of trying to create it all myself and reinvent the wheel, I just followed somebody who'd already done it. And so
who was this person?
That guy, I had a water sports business that I had, and I was struggling.
That was a hobby? You liked water sports?
I was a scuba instructor, and I had a boat captain, and I had an adventure tours business, and I had to get a job to support my business habit. And after 5 months of waiting tables at night, sleeping like 3 hours a night.
So you were an enthusiast?
Excuse me?
You were an enthusiast of the water sports, and you tried to turn that into a business.
Well, yeah. I mean, I traveled the world and I did some cool things, and I thought, I want to do this for a living. I love what I do. And so I did do it for a living. I barely survived.
Right.
And so what I was so stubborn to change my patterns. I wasn't willing to do the things that I thought were salesy or wrong or inappropriate or whatever. And finally, after 5 months of frustration, I started listening. Finally, I was like, I can't take this any longer. I'm going to die because I can't sleep 3 hours a day, 3 hours a night for 6 months, and still run my business all day and not make any money. I'm like, how can I just make an extra $100? If I made an extra $100 a day, then I wouldn't have to work this job. And so, quite simply, you know what? The first thing I learned to sell was a T-shirt. I used to sell 1 or 2 T-shirts on my boat in a month. And I had one guy that came out on my boat, and he sold 10 in a day. And I said, how did you do that? And so he showed me, and I thought I was a good student. I'm like, all right. He showed me how to sell T-shirts. And so I got it down, and I got to sell T-shirts the next day, and guess how many I sold? None, not one. I'm like, man, what's going on? So I had to wait a week for this cat to come back and work for me. He's only working 1 day a week. He hadn't trained me again. I went out, had marginal success. Finally, I just paid him a lot more money. He said, you sit on this boat, teach me how to do this. Apparently, I'm slow.
Right.
But he taught me how to go ahead and meet people's needs, and we ended up selling 20, 30 shirts a day, changed my business. Everything changed because I learned how to add more value versus trying to sell something because I needed to make a buck.
So rather than taking on the second job to fund your business, you learned how to create second income out of the business that you already had.
Well, after I made the mistake of saying I'm going to go get another job, yes, I did that. That was the only saving grace, was I found out how to maximize what I had.
And how big a business was that? At the
time, when I was struggling, I only grossed like about $100,000 a year, and then it was a boat business. And
there's a lot of businesses out there doing $100,000 a year, $150,000, $200,000.
Well, that was me barely getting by. I had to get a job to support myself, so I grew that to about $500,000 a year, and it was really about a 12, 18-month turnaround when I finally learned how to add more value to my clients. And I was scared that they wouldn't want to give me money. Like when I started charging more money, but the opposite happened. People started paying me more money, and they appreciated it more. And in every business I've ever coached since then, because I've had a lot of different mentors, once I learned that if you find somebody who knows what they're doing, and they're great at it, and they're willing to help you, brother, listen to what they're doing. Follow instructions.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to either get a coach or ask for help? Or I work with a lot of companies, man, and the first thing they do is, that's not going to work.
That's
I'm
a good
like,
question.
all I know for sure is what you're doing now don't work. That's all
I'm just so polarly. I think if you're not asking for help, then you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You got to. I mean, every rich person I've ever known has a million people doing stuff for them.
Totally.
How the hell can because we have all these phrases of like, if it's gonna be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, so I'm gonna go out and do it. Oftentimes when I work with people, I have them stop doing most of the bullshit that they're doing, so they can focus on what they do that's great.
You make a good point too. All the rich people, the rich guys, they have board members, they have reviews, they got chair.
I ask you this. What would it be worth for you to learn everything there is to know about growing your business? Cardone University was created for entrepreneurs that want to 10x their business. It was created for you so you could have me available to you from any phone, any pad or tablet, or any computer. If you can imagine the business strategy or a business opportunity you need a solution to, I have the answers here. Fortune 500 companies around the world pay up to $500,000 for this same information that I want to provide to you now. Look, if you want to 10x your income, I want to help you. If you want to become a multimillionaire, I want to help you. If you want to become a billionaire, I want to help you. It's not enough to just want it. You need information. I want to be your personal business coach. You can have access to me 24/7 from any device. Sign up now and let's go get yours.
Someone opens their mail, someone, there's a variety of things.
They're even traveling off to Davos and meeting with people and hooking up and finding out what's going on. Hey, you're listening to Trevor Crane. This is Power Players. When we come back, he's going to talk about how he went from bankruptcy to millions of dollars of consulting. Welcome back to Power Players. Grant Cardone. I have my new buddy, my partner right here, Trevor Crane. He's doing a show for us called Greatness Quest on Whatever It Takes Network. He's author of Transform Your Business. And man, he just told us something there a second ago about, rich people. You really like rich people. I mean, I'm going to leave this interview today and say, hey, I got to add some people that are smarter than me, that have already gone there. Forward, right?
Hallelujah. If you're the smartest person in the room, then you're an idiot.
You're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room.
You got to make a change.
So tell me about the bankruptcy, and then we'll talk about what you're doing today.
Well, my bankruptcy, the lesson I learned out of it for 2 years when I got into this fight with a business partner, let's call him a business partner, I fought and I blamed him. I didn't turn things around until I took responsibility for the whole thing, regardless whether or not what he did right or wrong.
What was the business?
It was an environmental protection business.
Okay.
So we work here in Florida.
You scamming the government.
Well, you know what? We work for builders.
You scamming the builders.
Yeah,
who are you scamming in the deal?
Well, you're always scamming somebody, aren't you?
But who are you scamming, really?
We had
because every time I've ever had problems with a partner, like a real breakdown, I was doing something that was a little shady.
Oh, you
pull in the shadier.
Well, what I did is I stopped liking the guy that I was working with, and so I stopped communicating well with him. And he thought no communication meant you're screwing me. And so it was really my responsibility because I didn't like the guy anymore. Because it doesn't matter. I just didn't want to hang out with him. I get to choose who I hang out with.
Was it a good business?
It was a great lucrative business. We worked for builders and residential residential home builders, and we cleaned up their neighborhoods and stuff.
And you were charging who? The builder or the
builder?
Okay.
So we had large contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts with each one, and we'd service them all year. And it was
Why'd you need a partner? What'd you need a partner?
He got me into the business. So
Okay.
I say he really wasn't a partner, but he was involved in the business. I'm trying to give it to you in this much.
Yeah.
But what turned it around, the important thing about it is what turned it around was me taking responsibility for it rather than blaming someone else. And then I finally just cut all instead of going after the lawsuit, because we had a lawsuit going, both of us losing money, fighting all our energy, and I was just losing everything. And I said, you know what, I'm out. And I'd had people begging them to have me help them in their businesses, and so I basically took on coaching and consulting as a full-time piece.
So why did you BK on that? Why'd you bust out on that?
Well, why did I bust out?
Did y'all in debt? I mean,
you know what? When we started fighting, we started losing business, and I kept spending the money. And I've seen business owners do this. They run a pattern that they're comfortable with, whatever they pay for. They keep staff on too long. So whatever money I had in the bank, my little nest egg, I just paid out, and I paid out, and I paid out, and I paid out. Instead of, when it went bad, I'd have stopped the bleeding.
Put a tourniquet on.
Yeah, I would have never had to go through it. And I just had my ego attached to it and everything else.
Yeah. Hey man, look, when you die, just
let it go.
Shut the pain off. Move on.
People, and I was it was my baby. I thought it was worth $1 million. I wanted to sell it, and this guy screwed me, so I wanted to fight him.
Right.
All that was wasted energy.
So how do you rebuild? Because this is everybody watching is gonna probably go through something. You don't have to, but I give you permission not to. But
well, you know what?
In case you do.
How do you rebuild?
Yeah.
The first thing is I was so devastated because to me the idea of not paying my bills. I had a perfect credit score, and I don't know what that is anymore.
Right.
And I had a ton of money, or what I thought was a ton of money. I could travel and be gone from my business for 2 months and make a ton of money. And when all that went away and I was losing everything, my self-worth was just like I was worthless. And so the first thing was just realizing that didn't have anything to do with who I am. That it happens. And I had so much negative association to this bankruptcy that I had to go ahead and say, you know what? It's there for a purpose. It served me, and move on. And whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So, that was the biggest thing, is just believing that I could go do
Yeah, but how do you
else.
get up and start again? Because all the little nice sayings, they're great and everything. There's quotes all over the place.
That's a good question.
But the quotes don't help you. It's like, dude, I got to wake up, put my feet on the floor, stand up, and go face the world. How do you do that? What was the first time? What do? You go see a client? You go call somebody? What do you do?
I just got up and did it. There was never going to be, my dad had a saying when I was growing up, can't never did nothing. And so it was just
This is the poor dad.
This was the poor dad. It was a great phrase.
What did the drunk dad teach you? I got to know, man.
I don't know, man.
Huh?
He taught me I didn't want to have my life like that.
Oh, right.
So
there's a lot of information to be learned from people.
My drunk dad was great in a variety of ways. I'm not going to totally throw him under the bus, but he wasn't. It was one of those lessons that made me stronger versus me feeling like he supported me that much.
So what do you do today? How do you help people today?
You know what?
Clearly your story is going to resonate with people.
Well, today what I focus on is kind of the same thing I've done in all my businesses to be successful. So I've had, hundreds of personal clients now that I help, and I go in and I find out how they can add more value. In that silly t-shirt example that I gave, I found out not just how to sell a t-shirt, but how I can make people want the t-shirt, and not make them, but get them to go ahead and see that this item I have to sell, this product or service, has value. And every time, I think that when people have a lack of money, they're not adding enough value. So the whole thing is, how can you go ahead and improve that? If you can improve the value that you add, then people are going to love to give you money. The more value you can bring in someone's life, man, they're like, here you go. I would love to have some more of that.
Right.
And that's what we focus on.
So do you think, you just said something interesting, that the people that have a lack of money are unclear about the value they bring to a situation.
I think so. If your bank account is a representation of how much value you add the world.
Right.
So if you go ahead and you're not happy with that number, add more value. Whether it's one client and you go deeper, like I say, let's maximize the resources you have in your own business right now. And, or to grow your business, that's fine. But I want you to go ahead and figure out how you can become your best, which is really what Greatness Quest is about. Because in all those situations that I felt like I was struggling, somebody came along and helped me become a better man. To go ahead and find out how I can bring more of myself and give more.
Like, who comes along and does that? Nobody came along and helped me be a better man. I got to tell you. People come along, hey, Trev, let me make you a better man.
No, what do you mean? You said
Well,
nobody came along and helped you?
You said, yeah, nobody came along and, I mean, nobody's came along. I mean,
Well, how many times
the president didn't do the,
I'm going to help you become a better man, right?
But who came along? I mean, I'm asking who came along and Trev, let me help you become a better man or a better business person. Or
So I hired my first business coach when I was running that environmental business, and I was making 20 grand a month. He helped me go from 20 grand to 80 grand a month in 4 months.
What would you pay him?
I was paying him a couple grand a month, something like that.
So do you do that kind of
30
coaching
grand, I paid him
today?
about 30 grand a year, something like that.
Do you do that for people today?
That's what I do for people today.
Okay.
So I had that experience multiple times, and I keep getting different mentors depending on the business that I'm in. And because if I, for example, like running our show, one of the first questions I asked you when we showed up here today, because we're launching Greatness Quest, how do you make a show great? What is your most successful show? What do you got to do to make it
Right, you're looking for the duplication.
I'm looking for what, because I mean, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, man.
Right.
I've already know that's too tough.
Right.
You know, I just show me how to do it, and then I will get it done.
Yeah.
And so I've always been, when I said who's going to teach me to be a better man, I sought out people to teach me what I need.
So that could be through books, audio programs,
Hallelujah.
whatever it takes network.
Because I'm not alone in this world, because there's so much books, programs, seminars. I am a complete fan of personal development.
For any budget too. I mean, anybody out there is like, I don't have the money.
Go to the library, man.
Whatever, you don't go to the library, it costs you money. Go to whatevertakesnetwork.com.
Right.
Look for the show. We have 25 shows there.
You got to take action though, man.
Yeah, you got to do something.
You got to get some help.
Because the excuse making, like you blaming your partner, the excuses might be legit. The blame might be right. But do you agree?
Well,
it don't change your condition.
You know, I can't change anybody else, but I can change me.
Right.
So I can go ahead.
So what advice would you give somebody out there right now that, I'm going to give you two situations, struggling business, and the economy's expanding, or a guy that's just like, yeah, he's kind of getting by, but he knows there's a lot more. Those two scenarios. What would you tell them? One thing they could do right now.
So one business is struggling.
Yeah, it's struggling.
And the other one's just barely getting by.
The other one's like, yeah, it's doing all right, but he knows there's potential to do something.
Yeah.
big.
Okay. So one's lying to himself. What I heard you just say is that the second guy's lying to himself. It's fine. It's just getting by. Both. That's crap. I mean, he's telling. So, I think it's inspiration or desperation, and so are the two things that move people. For me, quite frankly, I mean, I get very inspired by big dreams and big goals, but what gets me into action is desperation. And you can wait for life to give that to you when you go bankrupt, and man, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It sucks. You know?
Yeah.
You know, don't do that to yourself. So you can go ahead and make your own urgency, so that you can create desperation right now. Like everything when I watch you or read any of your books, it's about you create a desire. It has to happen.
Dude, I create constant desperation in my life.
And if you don't have that, you're not going to take action.
Yeah,
because it's all fun. I want to have
and I don't think
that.
I'm dramatizing the desperation. I think I'm looking at the numbers and statistics and the reality of the situation. I see families. I just look, 76% of households in America are living paycheck to paycheck. I keep that number in front of me all the time.
But they lie. See, here's the challenge: is that those business owners, those two business owners you just told me about, are lying to themselves, just like I did when I failed in my businesses. I was saying, it's okay, I'm doing better than the other guy, and I refuse to do anything different. So my one suggestion is get really associated to what's painful about this to you right now. What makes it really, really bad, so that you get up out of bed and go do what you probably know you should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so absolutely get focused on.
So, and that message applies to anybody. You don't have to own a business.
No, man, this is anything.
You
say you're fat. You're like, you know what? Get associated to how bad it sucks, and that you
I
can't.
hate that, dude. I'm like 3 pounds over. I confront it all the time. I'm like, man, I gotta go lose.
You know, but when my wife is
going like Trevor.
Oh, come on. You look. I punched you in the arm, man. I thought my hand was gonna break. my wife was working out every day when she knew our wedding was coming up.
Yeah.
Because she had a deadline.
Right.
I got to look great in that wedding dress.
Yeah.
So how do you create that urgency so that you can go ahead and do what it takes to make
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I love
whatever it takes.
So that's
what are people going to learn from Greatness Quest?
You know what? Greatness Quest, I'm interviewing the most extraordinary business people I can find to find out what they did to make them great. I'm looking for that moment, just like you were probing with me. And what are those moments where they could have been settled for good or average and what made them extraordinary.
Yeah.
And I want to have people see that, because these are the mentors that I've had in my life, the people that I love and respect.
Yeah.
And I want them to share their secrets so people can take that. Because what I think the second thing people need, other than inspiration or desperation, so that they're going to get up and do something, is that they get help. Because rich people get help, man. They don't go ahead and say, I'm going to do it all my own. They're going to go shake their ass. They're going to do, you got to do the work, but they're going to get help.
And they'll buy the help too. You know, that's the difference. I'm telling you, you guys need to listen to what Trevor's saying right now. Rich people, and I've been fortunate to be around some wealthy people, and every time I walk away, I'm like, they buy levels of accountants. They buy levels of, they don't care about, I'm telling you, they use money to get intelligence.
They love it. They love it.
And the companies that are expanding and growing, they throw money in. And they didn't always have money. That's what you need to understand. But they got in this habit of saying, I'm going to buy the intelligence. I'm going to buy the help.
And you know, if people don't have money, because here's the challenge. When I heard that, I said, well, that's great. If you're rich, you can pay for, you can buy anything you want.
Yeah, but they were doing it. They were borrowing money before then. That's the cop out.
Well, so yes, but here's what I think someone needs to do if they don't have the money, is that they got to go ahead and find a way to get creative. They still need help. They still need to ask for help. There's a way you can get it. You could show up on the Whatever It Takes network and get help. But if you don't have that first element of like some kind of fire underneath you so that you take action, then you're kind of screwed. So I think people need a coach. My biggest thing and what I do when I work with business owners is it's great that we can set a goal for somebody. Let's go ahead and do this. And oh yeah, you now know if you do this, you're going to make $20,000 more in your business. I love that plan, right? That's a great plan. But you know that doesn't work out. Because I told you what happened when I went and sold those T-shirts. Right. I knew how to do it.
Right.
And I went out and screwed it up. Why? Because it's the first time I've done it. It's the first time I'm running into that.
You need to do it 9 more times.
I didn't give my daughter a bike and say, here's your bike. You know, I'm taking the training wheels off. Go for it.
Right.
You know? I didn't say, hey, you know, you let me know when you can ride that bike. I chased around after her, helped her, and built her confidence up. She needed help. Yeah. I think people need help.
Absolutely. I know I need help, man.
Man, I need more help.
That's why we did this show, and that's why I had you come in today to sit in here as a power player. Look, what I got from Trevor today is, man, you got to get help. You got to get a coach. You got to surround yourself with people that'll lift you up and give you the strategies. Greatness Quest will be on every week. You're going to do a show every week, right?
Absolutely.
Every week on Whatever It Takes Network. If you hadn't subscribed to the channel, do so that we can tell you when Trevor's show's on. Your book is Transform Your Business.
That's right.
One piece of go away advice. What would you tell people today? Take away from your interview here.
You know, that's a good question. What's one piece of advice? Just, you know, I want to say, you know what I'm really enjoying lately? 10x, the 10x rule. You know, make bigger goals. Good God. Because most people are like, oh, I'm doing my business and I'd like to make a little bit more money. Those 2 examples you just gave me. You know, I'm struggling. Maybe I'll change this. Maybe I'll change that. When you 10x something, and before I got your book, every client I ever take on, I won't take them on unless I believe we can 10x their business. Because I know I have to believe that it can be done, or I won't take them on. Because I know they're going to struggle with that process. So if you can set bigger goals, then you know you're going to have to completely transform your business,
Changes everything.
Instead of like, oh, I'm going to work a little bit harder. I'm going to do a little bit more.
Right.
It's crap. You got to go ahead and have a transformation.
Right.
And so I think it starts. I love the whole concept of 10x.
10x is a multiplier, man. Forget adding. Forget subtracting. Just
love it.
Get into multiplication of problems.
It changes everything. And you get
if you're going to go bankrupt today, because you have this experience I don't have, okay? If you're going to go BK, do you want to go BK at $250 million or $2.5 million?
Dude, it's not going to happen again.
No, but
if it did, it would be as big as I can make it.
You want to bust out as big as you can, baby, because then they write about you. Come on, keep it real, man.
When my client told me she was suicidal, and I was like, how much debt do you have? And she didn't exactly disclose that, but I figured it out. And it was a whole transformation for her. She was 40 grand in debt.
Yeah, exactly.
She was all cut up.
I'm going to kill myself. Cut my knee.
40 grand in debt. I'm like,
Dude, you don't even have a problem.
That was, and we handled that, but it was about completely transforming the way you look at it. Instead of looking at all these little problems,
You should have
trying
sent
to
it
make
to
a
your
little
drunk
result.
dad. That's what you should have done.
My drunk dad or
Yeah, you should have sent the suicide check to your drunk dad and said,
There you go.
go get some advice from my drunk dad. Shit, he'll bust your ass for acting like that. Hey,
I'm
man,
used to you.
it's been great having you on the show,
too.
dude. Really, I've
Thank
enjoyed
you
it,
so
okay?
much. I
And
appreciate it.
appreciate you coming down to Miami. This cat's name is Trevor Crane. Watch for his show, Greatness Quest, on Whatever It Takes Network. One day you're going to sit in that chair. I want to hear your story. I don't care what's happened to you. I don't care about yesterday. That's what this cat told you. What are you going to do today and tomorrow to put yourself in a position of power, put your business in a position of power? Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next week on Power Players. One day you sit right there.